video will show you how to assign individual or a selected group of slides for your students to complete. For this example, I will be using the 4th grade number and operations in Base 10 interactive notebook. You may be using a different slide deck, but the same directions will still apply. So when you've opened up your copy of the Google slide deck for your interactive notebook, you'll see that the table of contents is laid out for you to choose a topic and to click on the beginning slide for the slide deck. So let's say I was working on comparing numbers with my students. I would click on slide 6 and it would bring me directly to slide 6. Going through, there's only one slide for this specific topic. And if I wanted to pull just this individual slide out and assign it to my students, it's really easy to do. You might want to do this in case you don't want your students to see the rest of the slides that are in this slide deck. It might be a little too overwhelming or confusing for your students. To do this, you're going to click on the individual slide, press on the File, Make a Copy, Selected Slides. When you do this, it's going to ask you to name your new slide deck. I'm going to name it Comparing Numbers, since that is the title of the slide. And it's going to ask you where you want to put it. Right now, it'll add it just to your drive, but I like to create a new folder so it's easy for me to find when uploading this slide to Google Classroom for my students. To do this, I'm going to press on the button that says My Drive. I'll press the arrow button for my drive, and I'm going to create a new folder into my Google Drive. I'm going to title this new folder Interactive Notebook Slides. You can name it whatever you want. I prefer to have a separate folder to keep it organized so I know where it is when I'm adding it on Google Classroom. Once I've created the folder, I'll select this folder, and now I see that the name is Comparing Numbers in the Interactive Notebook Slides folder. I'm going to press the OK button, and my new slide deck will appear. So you'll see I have just this one single slide. You can add as many slides to the slide deck if you wanted to add a direction slide before it. But now I'm going to show you how to make a forced copy assignment to your students on Google Classroom. To do this, you're going to open up Google Classroom and click on the Classwork tab. I've already created an interactive math notebook topic to keep it organized for my students. I'm then going to press the Create button. I'm going to create a new assignment. I'm going to title it Comparing Numbers, Interactive Notebook. You can add directions here if you wish. And then I'm going to press the Add button, and I'm going to add from my Google Drive. All of your recent files will pop up first, but if you can't find the file that you're working on, you'll go to My Drive, and I'm going to click on the folder I just created. And here's the slide I created. And this is the most important part about assigning something to your students on Google Classroom. If you want each student to have their own copy of this slide, you need to click on this drop-down arrow right here. Right now you have it set to students can view the file. That means that they can look at the file, but they can't type on it, move anything, or make any changes to it. If you go to Students Can Edit File, that means that all of your students you're assigning this slide to will be able to edit the same exact slide at the same exact time, which can be very hectic if you have 20 to 25 students working on the file at the same time. The best option for you to choose is to make a copy for each student. When you do this, each student will get their own individual copy that only you and them can see. No other student in the class will have access to their individual copy. I'm going to press Make a Copy for each student. I'm going to change the topic to Interactive Math Notebook, and I'm going to assign it to my students. Now when I click on this assignment, I'll see that I have my Google slide here. You can do the same thing for a group of slides as well. So if I go back to this interactive notebook, and let's say that the next thing I'm working on is rounding numbers. I want to include multiple slides for rounding numbers. So let's say I want to include these 2 slides right here. To do this, I'm going to select both at the same time. It's really easy to do this. If you're working on a Mac computer, you'll press and hold the command button and click on both until they both turn orange. If you're working on a PC, you'll press and hold the control button while you click. I'll show you how to do that again. I clicked on it, I held down my command button on my keyboard, and I clicked on the next one. Just like before, I'm going to press File, Make a Copy, Selected Slides, going to change the number or change the title to Rounding Numbers, and I'm going to find the folder I already created to keep it organized. It will open up the new slide deck for me if I wanted to add slides before or after these interactive notebook examples. I think what would be great is if you have some more examples you wanted to use from your curriculum or your school district, you can add another slide behind it to add those problems for students to work on. I'm going to go back to Google Classroom and I'll show you how easy it is to do this again. You'll press the Create button. You'll create an assignment. I'll press the Add button and I'm going to add from my Google Drive. Since I just worked on this one, it's right here for me to use. I'm going to insert that slide deck. The most important step is to make sure you change it to make a copy for each student. It's really important you do this step before you assign it. If you assign it without changing it, you can't simply go back and change it. You'll have to delete the whole assignment and restart from the beginning. I know it's super annoying, so it's definitely important to make sure you make a copy for each student prior to pressing the Assign button. I'm going to change the topic just to keep it organized for my students. And now I'll press Assigning. And that's it. Enjoy your interactive math notebooks.